What's up guys, and welcome to another video in Wild Kinetics. My name is Elam, and today I'm going to be showing you guys what a vane engine is and how it works. A vane engine is basically a pneumatic or air-powered engine that works with a fan that is being pushed by air. So both of these models I have 3D modeled and 3D printed, as you can see here, and we're going to test out and see which one is better and what they are best used for. Since there are two types of engines, there are ones that are fast and not powerful, and powerful but not fast. And we're gonna see which one is more efficient than the other. If you're still confused about how this works, that's okay. Just check this out. So right here, this is how it works. As you can see, there are blades inside of this chamber right here. And then basically, when air passes into this tube right here, it turns this fan, which then turns this gear, which I hot glued onto the shaft of the engine. Same principle applies for this one too, except that it's thinner and its blades are also thinner as well, just to make it more efficient. But we're gonna actually see if it is more efficient, because as you can tell, this one spins pretty well, this one not so well. Print quality also can affect the efficiency of the engine, because if it's not that good quality, it won't be able to spin as smoothly. On top of that, I added lubricant here to make sure it works properly. So let's see these engines at work. Here I have with me my gear train from some previous videos. Don't forget to check out those videos. I made a couple videos, 3 videos I believe, on this gear train. This is gonna be my 4th one. So we're gonna first test out our gray engine right here. So I have my Kinetics, I have this gears, and we're gonna see if it can turn this gear. So this is the easiest gear to turn, and it should make this gear turn right here. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna place it near here, make sure the gear isn't being blocked by anything. And then I'm gonna use my compressor and I'm just gonna turn it on. So that was it running at around 25 PSI. As you can tell, it didn't move as fast. So as you can see, this one, it's fast but not powerful. It was struggling to basically turn this gear. I'll show you, this is going to be lower than 25 PSI, but I'll show you it spinning freely. So as you can see, it spins really fast, several thousands of RPMs at its most, but its disadvantage is that it doesn't have much torque, it doesn't have much power in general, because so much efficiency is lost, because first of all, it's a greater surface area that this thing has to push, and second of all, the air gets dispersed. It's not airtight, so it can go out through this exhaust hole, which it's supposed to, but it can also go out through the cover, etc., which is it's not giving it its full potential here. And that's why I tried to make it smaller, and this was the second design I made, and we're gonna see if this one's better. So I'm gonna inflate the compressor again and test it out at 25 PSI again with this engine and see if I get the same results. All right, let's try it with this second 3D printed engine right here. And here it is idling. So as you can see, although this one idles pretty well and this one gets stuck when it starts to turn, it ends up being a bit more powerful than this one, because again, there is less surface area for the air to escape, so there's less options to escape through. So it's gonna push down harder on this thing than it will on the other engine. And on top of that, you can't see this very well, but there's actually a funnel inside this intake tube, which basically gives a faster airstream, thus providing more push on the fans and then spinning it much faster. So yes, this one's smoother. This one was printed with a Prusa Mark III, which is extremely high quality printer for that price. This one was printed with a Lulzbot Taz, I believe that's what it's called, and it's over twice the price, but it's not as good of a quality printer. But as you can tell, this one ended up actually turning well. A disadvantage for this one, another disadvantage for this one too, is that it binds up really fast. I'll show you an example of this that happens mainly with this one since it's smoother. I've refilled the air compressor. I'm gonna run this at a much higher PSI. Probably 50 would probably be the limit. I'm just gonna blast all the air through this and you'll see how it binds up. Basically, this is gonna spin super fast. It's not much faster than that because that one was running at 20 PSI, so was this one. Now this one's gonna run at double, or if not more. This is gonna bind up because of what I said about the plastics melting into each other, binding up. Ready? As you can tell, this thing binded up. Now if we remove this thing is literally stuck to it. Look at that. It's absolutely stuck. It won't even move at all. Now I can unstick it. Let me unstick it real quick, but now I unstuck it. But as you can tell, it binded up. So that's the disadvantage of having engines like this that are 3D printed, because they will bind up pretty quick. It was going pretty fast, but it'll bind up super fast sometimes, because if it goes fast enough, it'll melt the plastic, which is it. In this case, if you're doing that, I would recommend adding something like WD-40 or some sort of lubricant to prevent it from doing this. But you can't prevent everything, so it is inevitable. The real question is also, are these efficient? Let's just test out what is the lowest PSI these can run at, and how long can they run for. I've refilled the compressor. Now let's see how long these last under a certain PSI. What is the lowest PSI they can physically run at while idling, and how long can they run at with that PSI? Here is the gray one. Since it runs smoother, as you can tell, this one actually requires a lower PSI in order for it to start rolling. See? I'm barely running it and it was already going. Less than 5 PSI I would estimate. Now let's see the time it takes. So this is at around 5 PSI max. That was emptying. That was basically emptying a tank filled around 90 PSI, a 3-gallon tank filled at 90 PSI, at around 3 PSI with about 35 PSI coming through to this engine, and it lasted 2 minutes and 8 seconds around. So that's how long this one can last running at its lowest PSI with a 3-gallon tank filled at 90 PSI. Now let's try the same thing, except for this engine now. And look at that, barely 1 minute and 21 seconds. So as you can tell, this one used up way more juice than the gray one. So as you can tell, both of them have their pros and cons. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's a little different than videos I normally do, I know, since I normally don't do a comparison, and I've never really shown like projects that I've 3D printed, but hopefully later on From videos in the future, I'll be showing more projects that I've 3D printed. I did model these from scratch, 3D modeled them and using Onshape, and I 3D printed them on a 3D printer. So drop a like for more videos like this, and subscribe down below, and comment down below if you like the video, and if you guys have video suggestions for videos I can do in the future. I'd really appreciate that. And I appreciate you guys for all your support, and as always, thank you for watching. See you guys next time.